Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, time for the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week, Batman number 36. Now, I have completely pulled a 180 on how I feel about Tom King's Batman, and I'm really respecting it and enjoying it a whole lot more, especially after a recent reread. But this issue alone, even without that, would have been just awesome. I just love this issue. This issue was great. It really spotlights the friendship between Superman and Batman, and it's very funny, but it's very poignant and it's very real. The script is absolutely amazing. It's great. It's a nice parallel story that's going on with Batman talking to Catwoman and Superman talking to Lois. It's got bits of humor. It's got bits of real stuff, like things that, things that grown-ups go through with their own friends and things like that. Really interesting stuff. I really liked it. Clayman's artwork's pretty solid. Superman looks big and majestic. The coloring by Jordie Bellaire is fantastic. Cool stuff with this issue. Tom King is really doing a very unique and cool and at times bold approach to Batman, and I really respect it. I think it's really great stuff. This issue was just delightful. Old school fans of Batman and Superman and their friendship and their kind of rivalry, their not so bromance, that you're gonna love this issue. It's great. It's just like all the Superman Batman stuff that came before, but with a little bit of a different take on it that just, it feels more real. I just really adored this book. I thought it was amazing. I highly recommend that you pick this up. And in fact, if you have given up on Tom King's Batman, you can pick up this one issue, read it, and see what's up. Because it's basically a story about a bro upset that his one bro got engaged and didn't call him. And then the other guy's like, well, I don't have to call him. He should call me. And it's just, it's really funny. And it's really cool. And I really liked it. Something special. I really thought that was really neat. Pick of the week, Batman number 36 by Tom King and Clayman, Jordie Bellaire and company. Also from DC, we got the DC Universe Holiday Special 2017. And real quick, the new corner box on the DC books debuts this week. Pretty nifty. I think it looks sharp. The rebirth it's over. It happened. It was successful. Now it's time to move on from rebirth and build your DC universe again. I think that's kind of what they're going with. I don't know. We shall see. This holiday special, it's like thick. It's $9.99. It's got like 11 different stories in it. Work from Jeff Lemire, Joshua Williamson, Greg Rucka. A really neat Greg Rucka story with Batman and Wonder Woman, two characters that he's worked on extensively at DC Comics. But the real treat in this is the Sergeant Rock's Easy Company story from Francisco Francavilla and Tom King. This story was amazing. Probably one of the best scripts I think Tom King has ever done. Definitely one of his best short story scripts. I don't know how many of those I've actually read. But overall, it was very fun, enjoyable, holiday spirit type of thing. But that Tom King and Francisco Francavilla Sergeant Rock story is it. That thing is awesome. Is it worth $10? I don't know. It's basically $1 a page, I think, at that. I don't know exactly how many pages it is. Maybe 8. I don't know. But that one was really cool. Overall, I thought it was neat. Some stories were good, some stories weren't so good, but that Francavilla one was a treat. That one was really cool. That's what I thought about that. Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, number 1, out this week from writer James Tynion IV, Freddie Williams III doing the artwork. If you liked the first one, this is obviously a sequel to the first Batman TMNT crossover, not the animated one, but the one that came before that. It's fun. It's fun. It's exactly what you expect it to be. And if you liked the previous one, there's no reason why you won't like this one. A direct sequel, completely follows it up. Really cool. Great artwork. What Freddie Williams is doing with these crossovers that he's been working on, and he's been doing some of them because he did the Thundercats and He-Man one. The artwork is great. It's really cool. It's got a lot of detail. It's got great coloring. The story is nice. James Tynion IV knows what he's doing when he's writing the world of Batman. It's nice to see Batman and the Turtles interact, all that jazz. Lots of Bane in here too. And Bane is, that's a big bonus. Plus Donatello fans will not be disappointed in this one. They kind of spotlight him in this first issue. Overall, I liked it. It's a fun, cool comic. Exactly what you would expect. Batman meeting the Ninja Turtles again for the second time. Justice League number 34. I'm reading it now because Christopher Priest has come on. I think as an ongoing writer. I'm not quite sure how long he's going to be on here. So, new writer, new blood. Let's see what happens. Pete Wood's doing the artwork, first of all. Really cool stuff. Love this guy's artwork. I've been loving him for a long time. Used to do some Superman work back in the day. Been doing a lot of stuff here and there lately, like at Archie and whatnot. Great coloring, great pencils, detail. The characters are bigger, larger than life, a little cartoonish, a little tiny bit of realistic, nice pacing, good sense of how to tell the story with images. The script, though, was just a little all right. I used to really love Christopher Priest's work, especially Quantum and Woody and Black Panther. Lately, though, like with his Deathstroke, it's just not really grabbing me. This Justice League was one like that. I get the idea with the story. I'm kind of interested in seeing where it goes, but nothing really grabbed me story-wise about this. It didn't really move me as a story. It didn't grab my attention as a story, and I felt that that was kind of not so good, especially since, no matter what you thought about it, there is a Justice League movie out now. It's in the popular conscious right now, Justice League. Got to get a superstar team on this book. I think Justice League is one of those books that really deserves a superstar team. I don't know if Priest and Woods are going to be able to be that team, but we shall see. I'm talking they need like the biggest names in the industry, but who knows? Overall, you just need a good story. So there you go. Superman number 36 is here, and it ends this Imperious Lex story. Thank goodness. This story was not my favorite. Didn't really like it. The art by Doug Mahnke at times is really cool, but it also at times feels very rushed and sloppily thrown together, like they had to put it together really, really fast. Tomasi and Gleason were doing a really good job with this book when Rebirth first started. Now we're like, 2 years or so into it almost, and I feel like the Superman titles are running flat right now. Superman itself has not been very strong the last few months. Action Comics has gone down in quality. Maybe we need some new talent to come in and shake things up. Maybe something will happen post 1000 Action Comics, that is. But this kind of wraps up a lot of what's been going on with Lex, the Dark Side Apocalypse thing and all that. And I'm glad it wraps all that up, but it does so in a sloppy way, in my opinion. But we shall see what happens. I think, though, it's not danger time with the super books, but I think it's really time to start thinking editorially at DC what we're going to do with the Superman books. And maybe they have a plan. We shall see, right? Green Lanterns number 36, yet another decent issue by Tim Seeley. Thought it was pretty decent overall. Not my favorite so far that he's done, but it does kind of wrap up this one story and set up some potential things for the future. The characterization is not quite as spot on as Sam Humphries was, the previous writer, but Tim Seeley does a very good job of continuing on the story of these characters, Simon Baz, Jessica Cruz, keeping them interesting, keeping the story fun, light. There are some narrative choices that I thought were a little clunky in this issue. Overall, though, if you've been enjoying this book, I think you will. But if you haven't been reading it, that issue's not going to convince you of anything. Sean Murphy brings us Batman White Knight number 3, the story where the Joker decides to go good. But does he really go good? That's the question that starts getting asked here. Is Batman the bad guy and Joker the good guy now, or is Joker just playing things? What's actually going on? There's a lot going on in the story in this issue, and it's actually starting to pull me out of my awe for this book. I really loved issue 1. Issue 2 was pretty solid. Issue 3 was okay. It was all right. There's some stuff going on that was a little confusing. Couldn't quite follow it. Maybe it was just the state of mind when I was reading it. Maybe on rereads it will be more clear to me. But this one, great artwork by Sean Murphy that you're used to, and it's got some really great emotional moments in here involving Bruce and Alfred. But like the artwork is really cool, highly detailed, complex, textured. So the artwork is there. The story is all right. It's got those moments with Alfred and Bruce that really, really hit hard. But overall, the overall arch is just, I don't know. We shall see what happens. Issue 3 kind of feels like an in-between issue. Does that make sense? Jetsons number 2 from Jimmy Palmiotti and Company is out this week. I read issue 1. Really, really surprised and impressed by that book. Very let down by issue number 2. I did not think issue 2 was strong at all. I thought the artwork was a little sloppy. The writing was stiff, clunky, exposition-y, but not in a good way. And I think I'm off now. Like, I really, really liked what was going on with issue 1. Thought it was a really strong start, a really great reimagining of the Jetsons. And then, I don't know, issue 2 was just really, really disappointing for me, absolutely. Let's jump over to some Marvel. Venom Inc. Alpha number 1, starting the crossover Venom Inc. between, of course, Amazing Spider-Man and Venom. So it's written by Dan Slott and Mike Costa, Ryan Stegman on the artwork. I'm not the biggest Stegman fan. There are bits in here that are all right, mostly Venom-type stuff. The script was okay. The story was not quite my favorite. I'm not I'm not quite sold on this. I haven't really been enjoying Venom books lately, like as far as story goes. It's nice to go back and see Eddie Brock as Venom, especially with Mark Bagley on recently, and kind of just, you know, go back nostalgia-wise and just kind of feel like Lethal Protector days or whatnot. But overall, I haven't really been liking the direction of Venom, of what's been going on. And so this is why I don't really like it. It definitely seems more on the Venom side than the Spider-Man side right now. Of course, this will cross over into next week's Spider-Man and then Venom and then Spider-Man and then Venom and then into Venom Inc. Omega. So Spider-Man fans, you're probably going to want to read this. Venom fans definitely want to read it, but it's not the strongest. It's interesting. There is some Flash Thompson, some new developments that happen there that are important apparently to Marvel Comics. We shall see for how long. Some interesting things were happening here, but overall it was just a little... It didn't feel big enough to warrant like a crossover that would really grab our attention, except for the fact that we read Spider-Man and Venom comics, and so if you do that, you're going to be reading this. I'm interested to see what happens when it breaks off into their own books starting next week. But overall, like, I thought it was a little weak start to what is supposed to be a big story, but there's some interesting developments that happen in there with Flash Thompson that Venom fans, Spidey fans do not want to miss. For sure. Doctor Strange 382, the second issue from Donny Cates. And of course, artist Gabriel, right? Gabriel Hernandez Walta, who of course did that Vision series with Tom King. Outstanding stuff. Artistically, the artwork is amazing. The coloring by Jordi Belair, fantastic. Who could expect anything less from Belair and Walta? Great artwork. The story is really, really cool. I really liked Cates' first issue. His second issue is even better. Lots more Stephen Strange, lots more. I understand a little bit more about what's going on. Humorous moments, very touching moments that tug at the heart. This was all in all a great issue. And even if you are annoyed by this whole like Loki renaissance of the last few years, you'll still enjoy this book. I think it's really solid, really fun stuff. Really liked it. Great artwork, great script, great story, touching, funny, awesome. Doctor Strange, man. Donny Cates is doing some really good work so far into his Marvel career very early on, of course. Thanos, 1 issue, 2 issues of Doctor Strange, but those 3 issues, pretty solid. Speaking of solid issues, Mark Waid knows how to write a solid Captain America story, for real. And Chris Samney knows how to draw a solid comic book, no matter what. So you get the two of them together, they make gold. Here we are on Captain America. It's a fun story. It's a nice one-and-done story that will harken you back to the old days of comics in the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, and even before that. They used to make them, you know. But this is fun. I like it. It's sentimental. It really gets to the heart of who Captain America is. He's kind of trying to trying to figure out what's going on post-Secret Empire. Big news probably coming up. There's lots of rumors saying Ta-Nehisi Coates will be taking over Captain America around issue 700. This is just kind of a placeholder type thing. But Mark Waid and Chris Samney are doing a great job. It's a nice, fun comic with nice, clean action. The Swordsman is in it. That's cool. Great artwork, great panel design, great pace, great layouts. Everything about this book is it's just a really solid superhero comic book. And if you want a really solid superhero comic book, grab a Captain America 696, absolutely. Or grab Hawkeye number 13. In my opinion, the best Marvel comic book out right now, still holding that title, at least in my opinion. Love this book. Now we jump into the Marvel Legacy time. So you're bringing in Clint Barton. So you got a team up between Kate Bishop and Clint Barton, both Hawkeyes, 2 Hawkeyes for the price of 1, from writer Kelly Thompson and artist Leonardo Romero and colorist Jordi Belair, who I've mentioned multiple times in this episode because she is dominating colors in the comic book industry. She is like top of her game. Amazing stuff, diverse colorist, brilliant, brilliant work. This book is so fun, so great. Kate Bishop is charming, she's funny. Clint Barton, Kelly Thompson does a heck of a job. If you liked the Matt Fraction stuff, you'll love this stuff. Romero's layouts, the way he tells the story, some of the designs that he uses, his decisions are perfect. The coloring, the illustrations, the script, everything about this book always just is, they just knock it out of the park every single issue. Great stuff here from Kelly Thompson and Company. Hawkeye continues just being an awesome, awesome book. Funny, action-oriented, mystery, detective story. Everything you want from that type of book. It's great. Astonishing X-Men number 6, Charles Soule wraps up Act 1 of his Astonishing X-Men saga. Basically, the point of this has been to bring back Charles Xavier. How they actually do it is weird and going to be controversial. It's not been my favorite book. I think it started off really, really strong. I think it's a poor decision to have a different artist on each issue because these artists, top of the game that they might be, have varying styles, and it's going to be a very interesting read and trade, and I'm eager to see what that's going to be like. Overall, though, the story basically gets what it's supposed to get done. It does it in a little weird way that I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not going to spoil it. We'll talk about it soon. But I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to have to let that gestate for a minute there. Avengers 674. Don't let Mark Waid fool you. When you think he's predictable, he's not. So I'm just going to say that. First of all, this Worlds Collide story between Avengers and what is it? It's Champions, right? It's intriguing to me because it involves the High Evolutionary and Counter-Earth, reminiscent of Heroes Reborn, right? I'm a nut for that type of stuff. I love the High Evolutionary. I love stories involving Counter-Earth and all that stuff. So that's kind of interesting to me. Excuse me. But this story has been okay. It's been a little up and down and clunky, and it felt very, very predictable. And then you're reading this issue, and you're like, oh, it's totally predictable. And then you're like, oh, maybe it's not. So we shall see. The Avengers, we're building up. The next issue is 675. It's the start of the No Surrender, the weekly story arc, all that jazz. I'm sure there's an ad for it somewhere in here. I don't know. We're going to have to see what Marvel is doing with the Avengers. Because, I don't know. We're going to have to see. That's all I got right there. Darth Vader number 9, Star Wars, Darth Vader number 9. Charles Soule's doing a great job on Darth Vader. Darth Vader has been the best books out of all these Star Wars books that Marvel have been doing. And this one is great. It's really, really great. You got Common Coley doing the artwork, really solid stuff. Darth Vader is just awesome, and all you have to do is just let Vader be awesome, and the book will be awesome, and that's what they're doing. Vader has been fun. Every Vader comic that Marvel has done since they've reacquired the rights, just fun. Just great, fun, solid comics. Vader's badass. Absolutely. Let's move on to some of the other publishers. Top Cow, Witchblade number 1, an all-new Witchblade, an all-new Witchblade comic book. New avatar, new person, new everything. Everything is new about this Witchblade. So I decided to give it a shot, and, first of all, shouts out for doing a Witchblade comic that's not super overly sexualized and just TNA and trying to do something real. I think that's kind of cool, right? Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. I just thought the script was really confusing all over the place. It didn't grab me, didn't appeal to me. I wanted to like it because I do like the artwork. The artwork is really solid. I like the direction that they're taking, a more grounded, realistic approach to the story. And that's interesting, and it's got some great artwork with some nice coloring. And the artwork, of course, is by Roberta Ingranata. It's written by Caitlin Kiddridge. Colors Brian Valenza. Great artwork, loved it. Just thought that the script was just a little uneven, a little hard to follow, at least for me. Grant Morrison and Dan Mora brings us Klaus, or Claus, however you want to say it, and the Crisis in Xmasville number 1. I think we're going to be getting one of these Christmas one-shots every year from Morrison and Mora, and I'm cool with that. That's great. Klaus was a great book when it came out. Last year's special was great. This year's special, no exception. A great, fun, wild, crazy story involving an alternate, evil Klaus. It's just really cool stuff. Exactly what you would expect. It's got some richness to it. The artwork by Nomura is amazing. Brilliant stuff. Cool, fun stuff. This one's set in 1985, I believe. Really crazy villain plot story involving a Coca-Cola type company called Pola-Cola. Really fun stuff. I love this book, and I think it's really, really great. And if you've never read this book before, I definitely think you should read the trade paperback, and I'll throw a link down below in case you want to check that out and help support PCP. But definitely read the miniseries and then read these one-shots, because the miniseries is real deep and it's good, and it's decompressed and it's out there. It's a nice full story. These one-shots are just crazy fun, off-the-wall, nutso things, and they're fun and they're great. Sleepless number 1 comes from Image Comics this week. Writer Sarah Vaughn and artist Leila Del Duce. Really good stuff. I actually really like this. A nice fantasy tale. Not quite sure on exactly everything that's going on, but it's neat. There's royalty. It's kind of like fantasy, but there's not. It's neat. The Sleepless refer to this. So she's a princess. Her father used to be a king. He's dead. Now there's a new king, and there's all kinds of maybe danger and mystery and intrigue going on. She's got a bodyguard. He's called a Sleepless. It seems like he's dead, and now his spirit watches over her. Really intriguing stuff. Great script. Great artwork. I really like this book. I thought Sleepless was really, really good. Also from Image Comics, we got Paradiso number 1 from writer Ram V and art by Devmalia Pramanik. Colors by Dirbala Kelly and Alex Salazzo. Artistically, I really like the artwork. I think the artwork is great. It's textured. It's got really cool concepts going on in this story. Not everything is clear. A lot of world building. Some parts feel a little clunky. So I did like Sleepless better. I thought it had a better flow as a story. But Paradiso was actually worth a shot too, because it is an interesting world. It didn't grab me quite as much as Sleepless or some of the other books from this week did. It was interesting. I am interested in more. The artwork is really, really solid, but at times it was a little bit unclear. Jem and the Holograms is back. Dimensions, #1, first issue of a new anthology series. 2 Jem stories in each one. There are 2 stories in here. The first one is a nice story that's really fun by Sophie Campbell. If you're a Jem comic book fan, you'll know who Sophie Campbell is. Her artwork is amazing. She defined who these characters were, redesigned them. It had a lot to do, along with writer Kelly Thompson, of reimagining Jem and the Holograms as something even better than it ever has been. Great stuff, absolutely. The second story is pretty fun and cool too. If you're a huge Jem and the Holograms fan, you're going to love this. If you're not, I don't know, just check it out for Sophie Campbell's art for sure, because that stuff is really, really neat. From the Magnolaverse, we got Rasputin, Voice of the Dragon, number 2. It's all right. It feels like an unnecessary story that we didn't really need, and I'm interested in knowing more about Hellboy's Rasputin before he actually shows up in Seed of Destruction and all that stuff. Super interesting, but this book is not about Rasputin. It's about Trevor Broom, about Professor Broom figuring out Rasputin's plot is basically what it seems, and that's kind of disappointing because I really wanted to know more about Rasputin. That was Cat. Did you hear that? You okay, Cat? But Rasputin, Voice of the Dragon, a little disappointed. I wish it was more about Rasputin. I'm sure maybe there a future issue will or something, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel quite necessary. That's odd. Paper Girls, number 18. Such a great book. Crazy time travel, sci-fi, with young people action. It's fun. It's a really great comic book. Great artwork by Cliff Chang. An amazing story. Complex story with great dialogue by Brian K. Vaughan. Now we are in the year 2000, talking about Y2K and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. It's interesting to read a story and go back and think about the way the world was back then. And I don't mean to sound too old, but the world was a simpler place back then. Pre-2000, wasn't it? Absolutely. But this book is a treat. Wild, zany, weird stuff. Paper Girls never disappoints. So that's what I read. That's what I thought. I thought overall some really good stuff, but mostly just some kind of okay and mediocre type stuff. Sleepless was cool though. Check that out. Paradiso's pretty decent. Don't forget about Klaus, Doctor Strange, Hawkeye. Great books. The holiday special, that Tom King bit in there with Francisco Francavilla. I'm not even kidding, guys. But Batman, the Super Friends Part 1, the Superman Batman story by Tom King, Clayman. Pick of the week. Loved it. What did you read? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for checking out the video. Please do check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcast blogs, top 5 lists, and a whole lot more. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.